Hey, I'm Mike, and welcome to Retro Boost. Today we are talking about the brand new Battler and Blade Retro Fighters controllers. I'm very excited to be diving into this, and joining me today is Tori. Tori from Retro Boost Arcade, another segment on the channel where we play games and have fun together.
Yep, our Retro Boost Arcade series, we play things like TMNT Turtles in Time. We also played through Pokemon Stadium. We have a playthrough of the 2010 Aliens vs. Predator, which I really enjoyed. So we have some really exciting stuff coming down the pipe with that, so look forward to it.
Next time!
Oh my god.
Definitely, and feel free to subscribe. It helps support the channel. You'll get notified when that new content comes out. Bottom line is I appreciate y'all for watching, of course. Speaking of Pokemon Stadium, I think you'd recognize something here before us.
I do. We have a whole bed of controllers right here, and this one specifically, I remember we used for our Stadium playthrough, and I thought the controller was great.
Excellent. Glad you said that, because it would have been really weird if you were like, "There's sucks and I hate it."
Right, exactly.
It's that controller that I hate.
Yeah, they can all stay except that one. That one's got to go.
No, it's the purple one. It's my favorite. So you have gotten a taste of this brand. I've done a lot of videos on Retro Fighters, the brand here. They make modern design controllers, but for classic consoles, which is great for a number of reasons. I mean, principally, it's a higher quality alternative to finding a new controller for an old console versus something that's like secondhand or by like a more inferior third party, you know? I've brought that up a lot when I talk about them. Most recently, I talked about their Brawler 64 Wired Edition, their Defender, the one for PlayStation consoles, which was awesome because that one worked on multiple PlayStation consoles, the 1, the 2, and the 3.
That's awesome.
So that was very cool because it's a replacement for a variety of purposes. They did something similar with their Brawler Gen, which worked for the Sega Genesis and the Sega Saturn. That's kind of where I started to notice they were making these like multi-purpose controllers, which is awesome.
Oh yeah.
But we're here for the big one, the one that I've been really excited for, the one that I found out about when I discovered this company in November of 2021. That's when I first talked about them, comparing their Brawler 64, the N64 controller that you like, against the Tribute 64 by the brand Retrobit. That's the same company that makes the component cables for the GameCube.
That's right, that's right.
So I compared those controllers, and that's when I discovered that they had a GameCube controller on the horizon. It was subject to some unfortunate delays, a lot of that probably to do with like supply chain issues and things like that. But it's finally here. I had signed up for the alerts, like the wish list, for every color option between both, and I did that on 2 different email accounts because I may or may not have forgot that I had an account. I made a new account, and then like 2 weeks ago, I got like, what's that? We got 2 models, 3 colors each, 6. So 12 emails all came through like in over the period of like maybe 20-30 minutes.
Right.
And I was like, oh, it's go time. And I managed to acquire a few of them. I bought both models initially. I have messed with them a little bit. You have not, so you'll be getting your hands on for the first time today. But after messing with them, I kind of figured out which one I think I like more, and I ordered a purple one of that because I love me some purple.
There you go.
It's kind of all over the channel if you haven't caught the hint. So that's what we're talking about. The GameCube one specifically is such a great thing to have a new controller for, because the GameCube controller itself is like eternal.
It is. It is. Coming from somebody who's played every single Smash Bros. Game, the GameCube controller specifically for me is the best controller per generation. I always try to find a way to use the GameCube controller. Thankfully, Nintendo provides that, and great people like these folks do. So.
Yes, indeed. And then, like I was saying when I talked about the Defender, you know, a DualShock 3 controller for the PlayStation 3, like new in the box, runs you like 60, 70 bucks.
Yep.
You can find them pre-owned for that price or sometimes more. When you're buying them new or pre-owned, you're potentially getting something that's been in that package or someone's home for 10, 15 years.
Right.
So the internal battery may be shot, like mine are. So here comes this awesome third-party option that's less expensive and gives all that value. And the same thing is true for the GameCube one, because like a Wavebird, those are very expensive secondhand, and they're like 22, 23 years old at this point. So it's really awesome to have a replacement option that is a modern design, it's rechargeable, it's brand new, and it's like potentially half or a third the price of paying for something secondhand. Who knows what the person did with it before you got it? You don't know.
For sure.
It's scary.
Yep.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be getting into the Battler and the Blade. We'll go over the design, we'll play some games. I've already had it for about a week now, but you'll be playing with it for the first time today.
I will.
We'll kind of summarize our thoughts here, compare it to the original controller design, and compare it to what they've done before, see how their process is evolving here. So we'll get into it. So let's get started by talking about the design.
Yep.
So like many of Retro Fighter's previous controllers, these are rechargeable. They use USB-C and they come with the charging cable, which is always nice. Because of all the ones I've bought, I have quite the stock of these.
I'm
I
sure.
could probably open up a store and sell them. The kind of cool thing, though, that some people have pointed out is that they actually have like their branding on them, which is pretty
Oh,
cool.
nice. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's just kind of, you know, they're going the extra mile there.
Yeah,
which is pretty neat. As far as how these connect, much like some of their other wireless controllers, they use a dongle. It is one that kind of emulates the look of the Wavebird one, although it's like half the size.
Yes, it is.
It's way smaller. And then for Switch or PC or whatever you want to use USB-wise, it comes with a little USB receiver.
Very nice.
The Defender came with the same thing, to use it for like PlayStation 3, for example.
Gotcha.
And this is how I've used it to connect to the Switch, was one of these. So that's what comes kind of in the package. One thing that's missing from the package is the keychain things.
How interesting.
So they've been doing these, you know, these keychain giveaway little things, and all their controllers kind of up until the ones most recently. Because right before we started filming this, I got the Nintendo Switch Online controller in the mail, unboxed it right in front of you, no keychain. So they did it with all their other ones. I remember getting one with the Defender and before that, so I have like 7 or 8 of these things, but I guess no more. And now that they're gone, I want them.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yep.
So those are all the basics. One thing I'll also note is that whether it be the USB receiver or the actual like GameCube piece, nothing on them says like what model they are. So when I opened up both packages, I found myself like I gotta label these.
Right.
So I put like little labels on them so I don't get them confused. Now obviously I have one purple one, so its accessories were purple.
That's good.
So if you bought like multiple colors, you wouldn't need to label them necessarily, but buying 2 black ones, I had to label them because otherwise I don't see how you know. So that's a little weird. You would have assumed that there'd be something on them, but no big deal as long as you're responsible.
Sure.
As far as going further into the design, there are the 2 models, the Blade and the Battler. The Battler is seen as like the Smash Bros. One.
Okay.
That's like a lot of how it's advertised and talked about. But it's also the one that more like emulates the actual GameCube design.
Definitely, yeah.
Because you have the stick placement's the same, the D-pad placement's more or less the same. Everything about it is the GameCube's button placement. The Blade has more of what I would call a traditional design, by modern standards at least.
Yep.
How we had the sticks are aligned at the same horizontal plane, but the D-pad is larger than the Battler, and I guess the idea there is they say that it's more comfortable for like playing GameCube, or not GameCube, Game Boy Advance games.
Sure, yeah.
Through the system.
Right.
Which I will say, the D-pad is very comfortable.
Yeah.
Much like their Brawler 64 controllers, those N64 games that force you to use the D-pad,
Right.
theirs are very comfortable. So, cool. I think I like the Blade more, and you were saying that you think you like the Battler more?
Well, I'm a game controller purist, and it just kind of feels more like your traditional GameCube controller. One thing that I will say about it that I like is probably a universal criticism of the GameCube controller has really always been the D-pad is just too small. And this seems to have at least helped with that a little bit.
That's true, because it is beefed up, even compared to the original. This one even more so, obviously, but that one is larger. You're right.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. They've also got clicky stickies.
They do. L3 and R3, which is always nice to have.
I will tell you that if you hit L3 and the minus button together, it makes the controller turn off.
Okay.
Which is handy when you're, done.
Sure.
Because it prevents needless time of it trying to talk wirelessly and draining battery life.
Definitely.
And manually turn it off, which is pretty cool. I don't think their other ones do that. I could be wrong, I'll have to reassess, but I'm pretty sure that this is the first one in their lineup so far to have a manual shut-off button.
Nice. Well, it's nice to see that they are adapting and adding things along the line.
They definitely are, because if we look at this controller, we can definitely see kind of the evolution of what they've been doing recently. Although it's kind of strange to say that, because this one's been advertised for like a year, whereas some of the other ones have not. I think the Defender one goes back about that far too, but like the controllers that have come out before this, we can kind of see some features staying the same. So number one would be the sticks.
Yeah.
You look at like the Brawler controller sticks, and they're more rounded, whereas these have the indent for the thumbprint. And the first one that I messed around with that had that was the Genesis controller. I'm also seeing the same kind of triggers that the Defender controller had, how they have that rounded out kind of design, very comfortable grip when you're holding it down, satisfying to press. The Z button's also looser than the actual Z button is, but it feels nice. I like how it clicks.
Well, on the note of R2 and L2, I would have to admit that this design I would prefer above the traditional GameCube L and R, because never a fan of that. So this is quite a bit more comfortable and a little bit more of a modern experience.
Definitely. When I first took it out of the box too, and was first pressing it, I was pressing the buttons and I was like, this feels like weird and cheap. Only then I realized that this is like exactly how the actual GameCube buttons feel like.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's good.
Which is also somewhat of a departure from their previous controllers, because the N64 ones do not have the same feel or material that the actual N64 controllers had. Same thing for like the PlayStation one. The Defender, the buttons are also a different feel and shape of the PlayStation ones. So it's interesting that they would go back the other direction for the GameCube one and have them like really emulate the face buttons of the GameCube controller.
Yep.
Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with it. I will say the purple one did arrive with some little bit of like damage on it. The left stick has like a little dent in it.
Oh my, you're right.
I've already reached out to them about getting it replaced. There were some other things that came up as well that I'll get into. But I will say I've worked with them before in customer service, and they've been fantastic. Defects happen, is the reality. No brand is going to be perfect. What really matters is how they stand behind their product and how they help you as the consumer. And I had to contact them before about the Genesis controller. It turned out to be a user error. I was just an idiot. But their support was like 10 out of 10. So I'm going to update this situation in the comments as far as me, not comments, the description rather, of me talking to them again about this one here. But I'm optimistic. They were good in the past, I'm sure they'll continue to be. So now that we've established all of that, let's actually play some games.
Let's do it.
And we'll use both controllers here, and we'll talk about what we think at the end. Look at that.
Look at that. Gorgeous.
The C-stick is changing your beams when you have multiple. Everything's responsive so far.
Yeah.
Oh! I hit you with the morph ball when it was firing through a cannon, so it was like an instant kill. It's been a long time.
It has.
Well, I'm not having any issues with it detecting the ticks for doing the minion turbos.
That's good.
I love that I'm very really sabotaging. Oh shoot!
Oh, what? They gotta review that. That's a bunch of shit. Nice. Jeez.
Maybe I shouldn't have picked the stage.
Oh. Oh, nice. You want it right at the end. Nice.
Alright, the controls work.
Yeah.
They're both paired. Boss.
Nicely done. What is going on right now? Thank you. Jesus Christ. I pretty much killed your goalie.
Yeah, to say he was in the goal.
Yeah.
By the time that you were shooting. Look at this. He's in the goal. Like, he's stuck back there. Okay, something that didn't happen that I was expecting to happen. I have a request in to get this replaced.
Okay.
I can live with just a little dent in the right stick. That doesn't bother me too much at all, really.
Okay.
However, I was having issues with this, where I would boot it up, and kind of like what happens with an N64 GameCube controller, if you turn it on with the thing bent out of place, it was doing like movement.
Sure.
Even though the stick wasn't it is in neutral position.
Right.
And it happened a lot. This one also, it's blinking, but the light on the dongle is solid. So this one is having issues. Pair.
Interesting.
Still trying.
Yeah, the thing is solid.
Is yours on?
Mine's great. Yeah.
Yours is paired?
Yep.
Keep trying. Oh, okay, now it's paired.
Progressive skin.
Look at this. It's like trying to...
You should put that on the camera.
See how it's like, but one of them is flashing though? Like the one's out of sync with the others?
Yeah.
What's yours doing? Home button. Yeah.
Done.
But your player one. Or no, wait, that's just sync. Okay, alright. Whoa, yours paired, then mine paired.
This one has paired immediately every time.
I wonder if it's getting like confused as to which one's supposed to be synced into what dongle, or I don't know.
That's some interesting dialogue to include for sure.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, same here.
I would have been grinding that game. Ah!
That was me. Was that a big banana?
It was.
And you got three bananas coming your way.
I slipped on your big banana.
Yeah.
Take this.
That would have been so cool.
Oh, it hit him though. It hit Bruno. Ah! Ah! Oh, what am I doing? I didn't do anything. Let me get a free hit. I just want to see how fast they go. Holy shit! Holy shit! Look at this! Oh! Ah! What the? So turbo, the T button with the other button, you activate turbo for that particular button. All right, just got done playing through a ton of games.
Yep.
A lot of GameCube, a little bit of Wii U, a little bit of Switch. Revisiting Smash Bros. For the Wii U was interesting.
It was.
I've like barely played that game.
I played a fair bit.
Didn't play when it came out. I played the 3DS version a little bit. Didn't grab me, so it's kind of weird going back to that.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's talk GameCube first. So that's obviously the big thing here is the GameCube / Wii performance for GameCube games and whatnot. So how did you like it?
So I thought it was great. I think that the OG design for the GameCube, it's one of the controllers that I like the most. So, being able to use this controller with a similar scheme, just kind of, refined, a more modern approach. I thought it was great, and if I am to go back and play GameCube games on my own time, I would certainly look to this controller to be my controller of choice.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed it. We had a rocky start, but that wasn't the controller's fault. It was the capture, playing off of capture preview versus like direct out of the capture card itself. when we made the switch, fixed that problem immediately, and had no trouble doing all kinds of fun acrobatic tricks in Mario Sunshine.
Yeah.
No issue with the pressure sensitivity of a half press versus full press. Which, you know, you mentioned that you played Mario Sunshine for the Switch.
Yep.
The Switch controllers don't have pressure sensitivity. They had two different buttons for half press for running with the nozzle on and full press for the fixed position.
Right.
So like that aspect of this is great and like worked fine.
Yeah.
It's funny that the Switch Pro controller can't do that.
I know, right? And that is a controller that I absolutely love.
So that was good. Messing around with like Mario Kart, no issue with the stick registering fast taps for mini turbos and the triggers for drifting. No problems there. Metroid Prime 2, I noticed an interesting thing that I think the sensitivity of the stick is like right where it needs to be.
Right.
Because like controlling that giant turret thing, I noticed that like it felt good.
Yeah.
I think it's better. The overall control, the sensitivity, the dead zone, all these things I think are better for the Blade/Battler than like the Defender is.
Sure.
Because like the Defender, I had some issues with PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, and I had to like turn down the sensitivity in some games in order to get that same kind of like good feeling responsiveness. So I felt like this one did a better job with that in the same kind of generation of consoles.
Right.
Stepping up to the Wii U, pairing was easy. Had no problem pairing it. We're using the GameCube adapter for that.
Yep.
No issues. No issues in game. I mean, I'm not like a Smash Bros. Professional, but I didn't have any issues that I can say were the controller's fault.
Well, I've played a lot of Smash Brothers, and I tried to do a few things that traditionally the GameCube controller does fine, and it responded well. If you're trying to wave dash, it was fine. So if you're that Smash Bros. Purist who's got to have the GameCube controller, you know, this could kind of fill that need for you.
I feel like there's an ironic point about this being like associating the Battler with Smash Bros. Because like no one's gonna want to use it for Smash Bros. If they're serious on the ground that it's wireless.
Right. That's true.
Like that's kind of the ironic like thing where it's like it's the Smash Bros. One, but also like no one would ever in their right mind use it for Smash Bros. In a tournament setting.
Right.
Strictly because it's wireless. But definitely no issues that I can say are on the controller's fault. I used it for Smash Ultimate last night.
Okay.
Just messing with it and also have no issues to note.
Right.
Nothing went wrong. I also used it to play the Turtles game. Shredder's Revenge.
Great game.
So this brings up an interesting point. So we played Battle League on the Switch, and we that game is just probably not good.
This is I just think that we've tried and tried and
we had a Retro Boost Arcade episode dedicated to it as like a first impressions kind of thing, and I was kind of I think you were more optimistic than me about it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I was like I flew this is a 6 out of 10. Now I'm like, this is a 4 out of 10.
The impressions from that video, I think we both came out of that video just not pleased with how that game turned out.
Setting aside the quality of the game, the funny thing to note is that the button placement of the Blade and Battler, for that game at least, is like superior to how the Pro controller / Joy-Cons are.
Definitely.
However, I will say the opposite is true for a game like, say, Shredder's Revenge. I had a lot of trouble playing that game with these controllers because the primary attacking and jumping are like different than what it would be if that game was on GameCube. Yeah. Because like, if that was a GameCube game, it'd be A for punching and like B for jumping or whatever. And that's not the case for this controller. It's Y for like attacking and whatnot. Like you just can't get used to that. So certain situations it wouldn't be better than a Pro controller. Right. But pairing it was a breeze.
It was.
I was expecting to have to fight the console for 5 minutes to get the pair. Not the case.
Not the case at all.
What we will say in terms of opportunities to kind of throw some negatives into the mix, the problems that I was like kind of hinting at for my Purple Blade. So out of the box, this one, when I would boot it up, would have movement happening, whether it be straight forward or straight backward. It had to happen both ways.
Oh, interesting.
On resetting it, it happened 2 different ways. So I'm getting movement when the stick is in a neutral position. Not good. And we had the physical damage thing with the right stick. So it had like the physical damage and we're getting movement registering when the stick's neutral. Didn't happen today though.
Right.
So boot it up with you here, and I'm like ready for it to happen, and then be like, look at that. Look at you. Didn't happen.
Right.
What did happen though is a number of pairing issues. This one would be
specifically with that controller.
This
yeah,
one
definitely.
specifically,
Yep.
my Black Blade, no issues, great controller, good job.
Yep.
This one, a lot of instances where like it wouldn't pair right away, or it seemed like it was like fighting one of the other dongles for like dominance, and like they were getting confused with each other.
Right.
But it was only over this one. So this one has clearly got some defective situation happening to it. I'm not too concerned about that though. I've already reached out to them about it. I'm waiting on a response back. I've worked with them before. They've been quick to respond, and they've been very courteous. Super nice.
Awesome.
Like they've been like genuinely nice. Like when I've emailed them before.
That's great.
Because I had problems with the Genesis controller, because the Genesis controller has like a Genesis mode and a 6-button mode, and the 6-button mode is what you want for fighting games on Genesis / the Saturn.
Gotcha.
And I thought that it was not working. In reality, it was user error, and I was basically forcing the controller to boot up in 3-button mode. And then I'm playing Mortal Kombat going, why are the other buttons not working? It's me.
I see.
Because I was assuming that you'd have to turn on 6-button mode from the start.
Gotcha.
You don't. They thought ahead. It boots up in 6-button mode. I'm an idiot.
Gotcha,
But through
okay.
talking to them, I figured all that out, and they were super helpful. They ended up sending me a free one anyway, like, and they said I can keep it. I told them, like, I'm an idiot. I screwed up. Take your controller back. I'll pay for the shipping, and they said no.
Wow.
They said to keep it. Like that's real interaction that happened.
That's awesome.
They were super helpful. So this one like actually is having problems. We have documentation that on film of it having pairing issues and the physical damage, and I had the stick issue last night. So I'm not worried at all about getting it replaced though. They've been great in the past, obviously. So to kind of put the ribbon on it, we had a great time with these controllers today.
Yep.
Aside from the one that that I already knew was defective going into it, giving us some issues, no other problems resulted, and everything worked fine. I am very happy with these controllers, and I will definitely be using them as the standard kind of going forward. The one thing we didn't really touch on too much is the rumble feature.
Right.
They have rumble, which is great because the Brawler 64s did not have rumble. Whereas the other brand's controller that I talked about, the Chewy 64, it did. So that was
Gotcha.
kind of always an opportunity area for the Retro Fighter controllers. But the Blade and Battler both do have rumble, which is awesome. Couldn't get the Wavebird to give us rumble. Maybe this one has finally petered out. I don't know. But from memory, I feel like the rumble in these is more subtle than the rumble in this one. Not as aggressive.
Gotcha.
Which we both kind of agreed is a good thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I think having it be less powerful is better, honestly.
Right.
So, all in all, very happy. What are your kind of final impressions or final thoughts?
Well, just one comment about the design of specifically the Battler would be, if you're going to try to improve the style of the traditional GameCube controller, the directional pad is really where you want to start. I think for most folks who have gripes about the GameCube remote, it's really about the directional pad being just a little bit too small. So it was nice to see that they spent just a little bit of time making sure that they improved that just a little bit.
Definitely.
Yep.
And going off of the design, I mean, the fact that both sticks are of equal size is also a big plus, because the C stick is kind of like this weird uncle coming to the party on this controller. So it's nice that they're the same.
Definitely.
That'll make games that you have a lot of heavy use of both feel better.
Right, definitely.
So it's improving the experience beyond just being a great alternative third-party controller. It's like superior in that aspect.
Agreed.
So the D-pad's obviously better in both versions. It's really nice to mess with on the Blade specifically, but they're both great.
Yep.
So yeah, Retro Fighters has an Xbox controller on the horizon. They were teasing it on their Twitter feed, so I'm excited for that, definitely, because that'll be another console that's probably going to be a superior version of the base controller, because that's a chance to really improve things.
Yep.
Like how the Genesis gives us analog control, which wasn't even a thing back then.
Right.
We're going to get a more form factor controller, because all the original Xbox controllers were these fat, ugly beasts.
Oh my goodness.
Even the
Yeah.
Even the slim one was still like
Yep.
pretty bulky and had some opportunity for its button placement.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to how they're going to improve that for sure. So thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found the video helpful or informative, please consider subscribing. It is the best way to help us grow the channel. We do have some new Retro Boost arcade content on the horizon, don't we?
We do. Look forward to that coming real soon.
Absolutely. So thanks for tuning in. This is Mike.
And this is Tori.
Saying have a good rest of your day.